A few days ago, I made a video on my other channel talking about the one-off Ferrari BR20 and how it completely, in my opinion, it lacked the elegance, the grace, the line flow that I've associated with Ferrari for as long as I can remember. Something there was lacking. I also made a quick redesign showing what the problem was. There was no magic in the surfaces and the bodywork. I'll link that video down in the description if you want to go and check that out. But what I also said in that video is that Ferrari still knows how to make properly stunning machines. They still know how to sculpt sheet metal into beautiful rolling pieces of art. And this, the Daytona SP3, is proof of exactly that. We're going to jump into Photoshop in just a bit here, and I'm going to show you what makes this car a Ferrari, why this has the magic and the BR20 doesn't. I'll go over the lines and the bodywork in detail, and I'll let you know exactly what I love about it. More on that in a minute. The overall design of the Ferrari Daytona SP3 here is clearly inspired by the beautiful Ferrari 330 P4 that took first and second place at the 1967 Daytona 24-hour race. And to me, it's a fantastic modernization of, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful automotive designs of all time. This, the SP3, being a modernized version of the Ferrari 330 P4. And this isn't, as you know, this isn't the everyday Roma here. The Daytona SP3 is part of the limited Icona series or specials, cars that only the brand's most loyal customers are handpicked and invited by Ferrari to buy. And the engine is based on the 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12 that you find in the 812 Competizione, but here in the Daytona SP3 it produces 829 horsepower, 10 more than the Competizione, and that makes it the most powerful road-going Ferrari ever. And this is sent to the rear wheels through a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. Now we need to jump into Photoshop here because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this beautiful Daytona SP3 right here. I want to show you this, compare it to the 330 P4 down here, which is the 1967 Le Mans winner of the Daytona race. So just have a look at this line flow right here and the front end. Let's focus on the front end right here when we have the front views. The front end of this, it looks like a perfect almost modernization of this front end right here. So when you sit inside of this car, you'll see these two beautiful fenders here, beautifully sculpted, sticking out on both sides, kind of framing the road ahead of you when you look at it from a driver position. And looking at the graphics here in the front end, just look how simple this is. It doesn't get any simpler than having the daytime running light be just a regular strip of LED. The simpler, the better. The more you take out, the more the design becomes. And specifically, if you have this line, this daytime running LED here, be connected to some sort of line work in the rest of the body. And here you can see it connects to the overall edge of the front end here. And then if we bring it back, it connects to the shoulder line right here, and then even back to this part in the back right here. More on the side in a minute, because I want to show you how much line flow actually goes on in the Daytona SP3 here. It's exciting because it feels like Ferrari's back with this model. Too bad it's just one of these Icona models. I would love to see more of this styling in the regular Ferraris as well, but I want to show you that when we talk about the side view and show you all the line flow that goes on in this body here. But again, comparing it to the 330 down here, just look at these beautifully sculpted fenders right here, very pronounced, not as pronounced in the new version right here. You can't really have this on a road going car, but they're still here. And also one detail, you see this little thing sticking out here, this is actually the rear view mirror. You can see that they've placed it on the fender right here instead of having it be placed maybe somewhere here like on a normal Ferrari or normal car. So they still kept all these details intact, and just it's like they looked at the 330 detail by detail and then tried to implement that in a modern way onto the Daytona SP3. Let's have a look at the rear view here, and this is a very special view right here. When I first saw it, it reminded me instantly of the Ferrari Testarossa with all these lines right here, and it's a cool way of creating some graphics that doesn't have anything to do with anything on the side, but it is connected in the front end. As you can see right here, we have these lines here as well in the body bottom part of the front end that connects to these lines in the rear. So you have some graphics in the front coming back, getting kind of dimmed out in the middle part of the design right here of the car, and then coming back super strong in the rear end as well. And looking at it from a modernization standpoint, it's a super cool modernization of these vents right here that you have on the 330 down here, and then interpreted in a modern way to create these lines right here. And if we look at the LEDs here, the tail light, same thing here as in the front. The graphics is super simple, but at the same time, if you see this at night, there's not going to be any mistake this for anything else than what this car actually is, the Daytona SP3. And that has to do with not only this graphics right here, but this entire rear end is a unique approach to how you can implement graphics, parts of the bodywork, as well as the identity at night with this LED following the exact same curvature as the graphics that are underneath it. And here you can see the rear view mirror here on the side right there. Yeah, almost this exact same position for this side mirror on the SP3 up there. I think that's all these small details that you see in the bodywork, the curvatures as well. So if we look at the curvatures of the rear, this beautiful, just look at how beautifully sculpted this is. This is something that you can maybe create with a computer, but it feels, when you look at it, it feels like it was made by a hand. Someone has actually sketched this car, and that's how it was first conceived. The initial ideas for this car were actually made with hand on paper. That's why I think Ferrari has been so special over the years, because you can feel the passion of the designers in all of these lines here and the line flow going on all over this body. Compare this to the BR20, which we're gonna do in just a second here. I want to show you the two side by side in a side view to show you exactly what went right in the SP3 and what kind of went a little off with the BR20. But last but not least, I want to compare the side view of the Daytona, the 330 down here with the new interpretation of the Daytona SP3 up here. So now we're gonna talk about line flow. Let's have a look at the SP3 up here and analyze all the line flow that goes on here. First of all, we have this beautiful line going here, which we just talked about. And as you can see, it kind of dips down right here and then comes back in this line down here by the door and then goes into the front end. So that's one line that stretches from all the way from the rear over the hump of the rear fender down and then into the bottom of the front end. We also have this line right here from the front fender right here, dipping almost into the door here and then coming back somewhere around here, going back to the rear end, something like this. So we have almost like an X meeting with the meeting point being right in the middle of the car. And of course, connecting the graphic features of the front and the rear, that's gonna be the line that is the LED in the front and the LED in the back, connecting these two with one simple line like this. So starting from the LED in the back, going into the front end right here, creating a clear connection with the front and the rear, not just with the lighting, but as you can see, these beautiful Testarossa lines here in the front and the back also connects the two pieces in a very cool way and in a very strong way, both graphically and also identifier for Ferrari as a brand to have these type of graphics on the cars. To me, it's still not a crazy design, even though we have all these vents in the rear end. Some might say that this is too Lambo-ish. To me, it's not. It all serves a purpose here with Ferrari. They don't just add lines onto the car for no reason at all. This has some ground effect, so when the air pushes through, it actually creates some downforce in the rear without having the need of unnecessary wings sticking up right here, for example, or something like this. It doesn't need that. It's sculpted in a way that it naturally, how the wind flows over the car, it creates a natural downforce just from the bodywork itself of the car, and that is what makes Ferrari special. So this might look crazy, but since it has such a clear function, it brings it more into Ferrari territory than the overstyled sometimes but very cool Lamborghini design philosophy. Last but not least, I just want to quickly show you the side view of the BR20, compare it to the new Daytona down here. So the thing that I didn't understand with the BR20, you can watch the full video down in the description on the Sketch Monkey channel. If you search search the Sketch Monkey BR20, this video will come up with the redesign as well. So I didn't understand this sharp line right in the middle of the body of this car. We don't have any connection with this line in the front end here. It doesn't connect at all in the rear either. And then we have this intake that stretches so far back, it looks like a liquify tool has been applied to that, and the liquify does this in Photoshop. So it just stretches out the design, as you can see right here. It stretches out features, and that's exactly what this piece looks like right here. It just doesn't flow well, this design. Compare this now to the Daytona SP3 and how beautifully each part of this body here connects with each other, and we have several pieces, several lines that connect over from one end to the other in this design, and that to me is what makes this so much more special than the BR20, even though the BR20 is a one-off and the SP3 is the Icona series. I'm not sure exactly how many there were built. They're not going to be many of them at all, but at the same time I wish I would see more of this design in the Ferrari road cars, because as I've said before, they know how to make beautiful cars. I think they've just been a little lost lately, and they try to make it they try to find a new identity for themselves, Ferrari, and that has led to some F8 designs where everything just looks like a mess. I've made videos on that as well on the Sketch Monkey channel, the F8 Tributo for example, and my thoughts on that and also the redesign of that. This brings back what Ferrari has always been to me, the company that creates the most graceful and elegant, beautifully sculpted pieces of art in the world today.